Hello and welcome to the Moms Who Know podcast. I'm your host, Chanel Nielsen, and I'm joined today by my co-host and husband, James.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here today with you.
I'm so excited to be doing a podcast with him. We've been talking about this for a while and waiting until our schedules worked out to have quiet time so that we could be together and do this podcast. So we are really looking forward to this chance to talk to you. And the subject for today is 3 meetings that make marriage strong. And we're going to talk to you about 3 things that we do on a weekly basis that we feel like really help our marriage and would really help any marriage, and kind of why that is. So James, go ahead and get us started with our first one, which is Companionship Inventory.
You bet. Thanks, love. I'm impressed that you would even say, I guess I should say honored that you would even say I'm a co-host. I think this is, you're the boss here. You're in charge. I've listened to all of Chanel's podcasts and I've just been super impressed. So I'm glad to do this today with her. So the first thing that we wanted to discuss was something we call Companionship Inventory. A little bit about Chanel and I. We both served missions for our church. So when we were younger, about 19 and 20, we had the opportunity to go share some of our church beliefs with people. Chanel went to Taiwan. I went to Minnesota. So during that time, you are paired up with another person for the whole 18 months for Chanel and 24 months for me. And sometimes it's a big challenge to live with this one person. And as you can imagine, things can get kind of heated sometimes. So they had us do something called Companionship Inventory, and that was an opportunity to talk with each other about how things are going. So anyway, that's just a quick background on that. Chanel, any other thoughts on that?
Just as you were saying that, so James mentioned that we were paired up. We didn't choose who we were with on our mission. So we had a companion that we were with all the time, and so he mentioned things could get heated. That, you were just with someone that maybe was really different from you personality wise, and so there were a lot of times there were things to work out. So that was something, this weekly meeting that we had as missionaries was very important on our missions, to be able to keep everything functioning smoothly. So we got married. We were missionaries, and we got married within about 5 months after I came home, and a little bit longer than that for James. So we were fresh off of this mission where we had done this with our companions, and we decided this was something we wanted to carry on in our marriage.
Absolutely. So we started doing that, and it's been something we've done the last 17 years, which has been really fantastic. We've actually kind of tweaked the name. We call it our Bones session sometimes. And it's just an opportunity to talk to one another about how we feel like our relationship is going. And it's been really healthy for us. Sometimes throughout the week, we've done it to where I guess we weren't consecutive about it. We've refined it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's a refining process that we've gone through. And it just makes it so we avoid nitpicking little things throughout the week. So I guess I want Chanel to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So for me, I think this was probably true for a lot of women, it's really easy for us to want to correct. You'll see something, or your husband is doing something and it bugs you, and it could be something that you get annoyed with, and you want to tell him because you want him to change it right away. Well, this has been such a good thing for me, because if I see him doing something and I think, oh, I wish he wasn't doing that, I don't feel like I have to tell him right away, because there's a space and a time set aside for us at Sunday nights when I know I'm going to have time to tell him. And so if there's something that comes up, I think, oh, I'm going to tell him that on Sunday night. I'll log that one away. And what ends up happening a lot of times is, maybe had I told him during the week, there would have been a lot, I would have come up with 5 or 10 or however many things. But when it comes down to it Sunday night, most of those have gone by the wayside, and usually I have 0 to maybe 2 things to say. Would you say that's
Unless it's a
accurate?
bad week and it's like 10 things. No, no,
No,
I would
it's
say that's
not.
true. And I would say the exact same thing is true for me as well. If something bothers me, and I'm not jumping down Chanel's throat about it, it gives me an opportunity to think about it. And a lot of times it's not a big deal, and I can kind of gain perspective and think about it and think, this is dumb. Why is this even bothering me? And what can I do to change?
Another thing that has sometimes come up is if one of us starts to correct the other one, then we'll say, "Oh, save it for Sunday," or something like that. Like, "Oh, wait until Sunday. Talk to me about that on Sunday night," because we know we'll be more in a mood to listen on Sunday night, and in that space where we're ready to listen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think use wise judgment with this. I mean, sometimes there are things that you need to discuss right then and there. You
Right.
need to make decisions and you need to discuss things. But I think that with practice, there you'll know when it's appropriate to save the item for whatever day you designate. So it has been good for us, like I've said, and it's something that I guess you could say I look forward to it. I think it's important that you are sitting closely to each other while you're doing this and either holding hands or have your spouse put their feet on your lap or something. Maybe a nice foot massage while you're talking about this. It kind of helps relieve some tension maybe. But it is good, and it's a good thing to just talk and take that time to do that. And it's something that I really feel like has helped our marriage.
It really has. And it's something that I look forward to actually because it's just a quiet time when we talk. We're at home and we're together and we're talking. And there's other things. So we talk about, James said, we call it our bones. Like, do you have a bone to pick with me? Is kind of where that came from. So we talk about our bones, and then we talk about our calendar, which is important. We go through what's going on this week, and who is going to have the kids, and where will you be and where will I be. If there's any conflicts, then we can kind of know what's coming up for the week. We talk about any concerns in the family with the kids. Anything else that we do at Companionship Inventory?
Kiss.
We kiss. Kissing makes everything better. So yeah, that's about it then for Companionship Inventory. The next meeting that we do, and I know for some people this is going to sound like horrible, but it is a budget meeting. We have a budget meeting once a week, and the way that we do our budget meeting is kind of old school. We do just an Excel spreadsheet, and then we go through all our expenses for that week, and we enter them into an Excel spreadsheet.
This is like Chanel said. I don't know. This might really rub some people, and I've talked to a lot of married couples. I try to do counseling with people. Sometimes I get an opportunity to do that, and gosh, budgets are sure a thing that really gets under people's skins and creates a lot of tension in the marriage. So when we first started this, we didn't do it right off the bat. I think when we were married,
I remember doing it in that house in Ricks
Dude,
Avenue. So we were
that was
only
pretty young.
married.
Pretty
Yeah,
young.
we had only been married like a year. So we've been at it for a long time.
Wow. Gosh, I guess I didn't realize how long we've been doing it. Anyway, I remember thinking sometimes like, man, this woman's not gonna. She's gonna know if I spend 25 cents on gum. Like, where's my sense of freedom with this? And maybe some people might feel strapped with this, but really, transparency in dealing with money is so essential. I really feel like it is. So who cares? Is it a problem if my wife knows that I spend 25 cents on a pack of gum? Like, it's not even 25 cents anymore. Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
$1.25.
No, but anyway, really, it's why not? Why not have the transparency? So you go through it and we go line item by line item. We've tried different things like Mint before and some other programs. And we've found that what works best for us is that old school. Like, we go through every single transaction. And I know some of you are probably thinking like, I couldn't do that. That would make me crazy. No way. You need to find something, I feel like, that works for you. Obviously, every relationship isn't going to be the same. I think I would encourage you to try it and go and look at your bank account, pull it up online. Like I'll sit there with the iPad and Chanel will sit there on the Excel spreadsheet and we'll take turns doing that. Switching off weeks, that is. Did I make that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, and then just go line item by line item and see where we're at.
Yeah, so to back up a little bit, we have it on an Excel spreadsheet and we have everything budgeted out what we want to spend for the month. So we have X amount of dollars on groceries and this amount on school clothes and this amount on electric bill and all those things. And then we go through each week to update the budget to see where we're at, how much have we spent, are we staying in the budget? And then sometimes, oh, well, we had this unexpected car expense. We had to replace the tires or something. So we have to look at the budget and kind of rework the numbers and see where we can take it from, which is just your basic budgeting strategy there. But it's important to have both sides, to have a plan for where your money's going to go and then to actually check in and be accountable and see where your money went. Now, James mentioned kind of knowing, what each other spends. There's a thing that we do in our budget that I love, and that is that we both have an allowance. And we have a certain amount of money.
She's not going to tell you how much it is because it's ridiculously low. But anyway.
It's low, but it works for now. It's what we have for now. And that's all of our expenses, all of our personal expenses pretty much. That's for clothes and haircuts and any going out to eat or packs of gum or anything like that we want to do for ourselves. That is where that money comes from. And that's really nice because if I want to go get a pedicure, I can do it without worrying like, taking from the family fund or the miscellaneous fund. This is my money. I don't have to account to James for it exactly. I mean, he'll see what I spent just because we use the bank card and it's a joint account. And so he sees it, but we don't give each other any kind of hard time. If he wants to spend all his money on going to In-N-Out, then he does that. And if and whatever I want to spend my money on, that's fine. Like that is our own personal money and we're able to do what we want with that, which is nice.
Yeah, pretty much if I do want to go to In-N-Out, I'm on my own there, so Chanel does not like going there.
Yep.
Anyhow, I think it takes the element of surprise out. So, and it makes it so, Chanel's made this comment to me before in the past, like, it makes it so she doesn't have to be the bad guy, or I don't have to be the bad guy. If I want to go get some shirts dry cleaned or something like that, and I'll be like, hey, can we do this? And I don't know. Can you? I know that that's something that would come out of my budget. You guys have to decide what's going to be coming out of your budget, Or, hey, I want to go to dinner with some guy friends. I laugh because that doesn't happen like all the time. But anyway, I'm just saying that I don't have to say, hey, I don't have to ask her like, oh, do we have the money for, like, I know what I have, and it just makes it so it's not, it takes the tension out of it. Is that a good way to say it?
Yeah, and it makes it so in our marriage, James works and I stay home. So he makes the money and I do a lot of the spending of the money with the groceries and things like that. But this kind of takes out, it used to be, there's been times in our marriage where we weren't as good about doing the budget and I would be the one paying the bills. And I know in a lot of families it kind of works that way, that the woman, if she does stay at home, is paying the bills and then she kind of knows where the money is and then she becomes the boss of the money.
Yeah, and I think that's so stressful. Yeah, that's so hard to put on one person's shoulders.
Right.
And that's not fair. So it's really, I feel it's got to be a joint effort. You both should know how much the cable bill is or whatever you're paying, even the water, you both should know. Why not? Why does it have to be a mystery for the other person? That's just so much stress on the one person because they have to worry about all of that. So help each other out, know the budget.
And I feel like doing the budget and knowing, like James said, that really keeps an equality in the marriage because you're both on the same page about money. And it doesn't mean that we always have the same opinions about how to spend the money, but that's where those things kind of get worked out. We say, okay, we only have this much money left in our miscellaneous fund and I want to spend it on this. Well, I think we should spend it on this. And we have those discussions because we know how much money we're dealing with there.
Chanel said something earlier that I really appreciate. She said, she does the majority of the spending. And yeah, she does. I mean, we have a pretty big family, and I think it's important that she knows, and I hope you know this. I think you know this. Like, I place a great deal of trust in her, and I think that your partner, your spouse, knowing that you trust them, it's just a whole element of, I'll call it feeling safe. Like,
Mm.
Chanel, like, I just totally trust you. If, gosh, maybe you're gonna have one of those days where you're gonna get the extra chocolate and eat it while you're shopping there. I don't care. Like that's just, I'll trust her judgment. And I just really appreciate that she's cognizant of the fact that, gosh, I've got this responsibility. I feel like I have a responsibility to provide and make the money, and she has an even greater responsibility, I feel like, sometimes to spend the money, because of course we make a lot of purchases together, but I'm just saying,
Right. I'm the
groceries
one
and
in the day doing the grocery
yeah,
shopping and doing the kids shopping and all that kind of
right.
stuff. So, well, thank you,
So
love.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
All right. So, our last meeting is not exactly a meeting, and it's probably the most fun of the three, and that is date night.
Yes, date night is so important. Guys, let me just tell you, this is really a big deal to treat your wife like the queen she is. And you've probably all heard it before. And I think deep down inside, these guys, we know we should be doing this. We need to continue to court our wives. And gosh, I'll be the first to admit, sometimes this isn't something that you're maybe always able to do. Like, we've got 5 kids, and we haven't done that like every night or every Friday night or whatever.
No, growing up, my parents, and my parents have 8 kids, they were adamant, like Wednesday night was their date night or Tuesday night. My dad's off on Wednesdays. So anyway, they would go out once a week and it was non-negotiable. And they always said that to me, like, you must go out on a date once a week. Well, for the first, I don't know how long of our marriage, we went out. We've always dated, but I felt like it wasn't as important because our kids would go to bed early and we had time together every night. So even though we weren't going out once a week, I felt like we were pretty much going on a date, if you want to call it that, every night. We had nice, alone time without the kids where we could talk or, spend time together, watch a movie, whatever. And I felt for a while, we would still go out probably once or twice a month,
Sure.
but it wasn't as important to get out. And the way it is now with 5 kids and super busy with lots of other commitments, that date night, I get it, what my parents said. Like, that is so important. We need that time.
It is. And I would say, back to the point of treating your spouse really well, guys, going back to opening the doors and things like that, and making sure that you're treating them like you did when you were trying to get them to marry you in the first place, right? So I think that's important, and it doesn't always have to cost a lot of money. My favorite dates tend to be going out to dinner. I just really like going out to a good dinner. And I know, we've talked about before, kind of shaking that up, being a little bit more creative. And so we've tried to find different things to do. And sometimes, you can do things that don't cost anything and just have fun. So I'd encourage you to be creative and make it a habit. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, part of the fun of going on a date once a week is anticipating it, is knowing all week long, like, oh, well, Friday night, we're going to have this time together. Even if it's a really, a busy week or a crummy week, I just have that to look forward to. And that for me is so nice. Like, I look forward to it all week, knowing we're going to have this time together. And even if it's nothing, not really a big deal, it's just so nice to be away from the kids, to have a reason to put my cute clothes on and not wear yoga pants, put on makeup, go out. And so that for me is a treat to be able to go out. So those are that's pretty much sums it up for us for what we do. Those 3 meetings make a big difference for us. They're times that we connect during the week. there are things that make our marriage run more smoothly. We can miss a week here and there. I feel like, sometimes we'll be out with family on Sunday night, or although we usually will talk in the car on the way home and make sure we cover all those. Sometimes we'll miss a week of budgeting, and then we've got 2 weeks to do at a time, and then every once in a while things get busy and we miss our date night. But if we start to get out of the habit of any of these three, we feel it. We're not as in harmony. We don't know what's going on with our money, or we're not as connected as a couple. So these three things keep us connected. They keep our home running smoothly. They keep our marriage running smoothly. And they're things that really help us a lot. So hopefully this has helped you and given you some ideas of things that you can do in your marriage. Sit down with your spouse and talk about these ideas, and whichever ones really resonated with you, try them out, see what works for you. And maybe the structure is going to be a little bit different, but I hope that there's some takeaways that you can do to make your marriage a little stronger. So thanks so much for joining us today. I'm glad I had my cute co-host here with me, and we'll see you next time on Moms Who Know. Subscribe to Moms Who Know so you never miss an episode, and join the conversation on Facebook at facebook.com/Moms Who Know podcast.